before this live over by the build site. I have the mic connected, should be good. We're looking at Starship. You can tell the number. It is December 3rd/4th, depending if you're in the UK or the United States of these American countries. United States of America, states of the Americas. December 3rd, 4th, 2022. Here at the SpaceX launch site, looking at one of the starships here. Got a decent shot of it tonight. It is a Saturday or a Sunday morning, depending where you are. In the last several nights, we've had a lot of fog and mist out here, so it's been not the easiest to see, but tonight we got a very good shot of it. The Starship. L Starship. The Starship. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Is it La Starship or L Starship? You can tell me. Hey Michael, good evening. Is the Starship feminine or is it masculine? Is it L Starship or La Starship? Tony. I think it's an L Starship, but maybe it's a La. I don't know. Double naughty. Looks like they're doing some welding over there. Interesting. Yeah, get a little bit further down here. Just a minute. Hey, Mark. So I was briefly chatting in the other live stream that about the gentleman complaining about being encouraged to quit SpaceX when he was in his 60s. Just recently, this all happened, or it reached the news recently, but I think it happened earlier in the year. And there are other countries that have a better respect for the older people. In a society, I believe, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe in American society we believe that for the most part that either you're religious, either you're Christian, Jewish, or maybe Muslim or something else. Most people think that you go to heaven and that's the end of it, and you don't come back to life again or whatever. At least in the Christian Western society here, or a lot of people are agnostic or atheist, so they believe when you die, that's it, so that's the end of it. So maybe the majority of people here at SpaceX who are running the show, from the managers to the different engineers and everything, they believe mostly that there is no God, and when you die, you're dead. So at that point, they probably have the perspective that as you get older, you're just less and less capable. So the idea of spirituality or essence or strength or knowledge doesn't really carry over for the people in the SpaceX crowd who believe that you have to be young and quick on your feet and very quick with your mind. So that's probably a factor when it comes to not respecting the older people here. In not only at SpaceX but across Western society. But if we were to look at some of the other cultures around the earth here in 2022, if we were looked at India, they have a much different perspective on age, wisdom, and knowledge, and so they believe in not only different energies in the body, which Western medicine completely ignores and denies exists. Even the Chinese believe in energy in the body, but if you talk to a Western medical doctor, they would tell you that it's all bullshit and voodoo. So the West is, as far as the AMA, American Medical, everything else like that, in the Western society, when it comes to diagnosing disease and everything else, they deny that there is any type of energy involved. So, and that's a derivation of a belief that when you die, you're dead. So that carries over again into the not only the employment here at SpaceX, but across the whole Western society, and no matter the job you get into. So it's too bad, because now all these people at SpaceX and across the West, they're wrong. There is life after death, and there is wisdom and there's spirit. And if you're in the if you're at least believe in a heaven or something like that, at least you believe there's an afterlife, or there's a God, and there is a larger being, which we're all part of, and I know this for a fact. And it's just too bad that they don't respect that at SpaceX. Hey, Sir Chris, nice to see you. Ken from Florida, good. Nice to see you too. Nice. You know, I had an opportunity to go to Florida recently, but I haven't made the jump yet to Tampa or some of the, maybe Miami or something like that. There's some work over there, but I haven't decided to do it. Tony says, in India, wisdom and knowledge comes with age. Yes. That's double naughty. Cool. Yeah, a lot of scaffolding over there. They were doing some welding or something. Well, that's why I have it zoomed in on this area here by that white section here. By over here, they were doing some welding. That's why I zoomed in there, but looks like they stopped for a little bit. There have been some videos. I was thinking about mentioning this. There is a video where it's like one of those ultimate societies. It's like the perfect, what is it? It's not Shangri-La, but it's like, it's not the Garden of Eden, but it's something where it's like the utopia, that's the word. A utopic society where the people of the younger age are all, they believe in everything that they're told, and when they get to a certain age, they go into a certain room, and then they get incinerated. So everybody's, it's all utopia society, and at a certain point, unbeknownst to these people, and when they reach a certain age, they all get asked to go to a certain area, and they go into this little chamber and they get incinerated. So that's one way of looking at age and keeping society at a certain, keeping it within certain bounds. And just Double Naughty says Soylent Green, Logan's Run. Yeah, it could be Logan's Run, Passing Wind. Too bad that is, it does come to be in other areas of our society. Some people are definitely on that route to making that a reality. Or they're of that mindset. Lynn, welcome as a member, Lynn. Awesome. Falcon Heavy OCSC member, Ocean Camera Space Corp. Passing Wind says, supposedly you have a chance at renewal, but in reality you explode. It's so funny. It was mentioned also in that in the commentary on the 65-year-old guy who was encouraged to quit because he was getting too old at SpaceX. That you know, he mentioned that Elon Musk is in his 50s, and someday he will be amongst those who are of the 65-year-old age-ish. And what will happen at that point? Will they kick Elon Musk out of SpaceX? Will he be too old to be part of such a cutting-edge business? I liked it. It's good stuff. Yeah, someday Elon might be too old of a fart to be cutting edge. And the younger folks might kick him out. All right, so this is one shot. There are other shots we can get here. To the left, there's a good shot of the tower. And there is some other fog going on over at the tank farm area. We got a decent shot of the tower here. And I'll get a shot of the tank farm there. Yeah, he'll still be rich. Ken says Elon will still be rich even when he gets too old to work at SpaceX. It'll be I guess we have if you live long enough like I plan to, we'll get to see Elon take the same perspective about the younger people at SpaceX. Probably like Bigelow Aerospace. Maybe Elon will become another Bigelow, Robert Bigelow, and start talking about aliens as I do. Once Elon gets to the knowledge of the existence of the other dimensions, maybe he will have me over for a fireside chat about the idiot younger engineers who just don't understand the reality of the galaxy and the universe. So I look forward to those days when Elon has me over for some tea and we get to talk about how stupid the younger engineers are and how there really is a spiritual world. And talk about some of his recent out-of-body experiences. Let me see. Yeah, it could happen. It could happen, drones. Maybe Elon will eventually get tired of his kids or his ex-wives or whatever, and he'll start doing some inward search, and then he will gain the perspective as some of the other people in the recent. There are some actors who are now have had some spiritual experiences in the out-of-body realms or whatever, and they are openly talking about some of those things, and it's pretty fun. And maybe Elon will take that path as well. Drones Toronto says, I worry that Elon may not get a working pass at NASA launch facility. Yeah, I guess there was some issues going on over there at the Kennedy Space Center. Is that what you're talking about, drones? Yeah. We'll see how it all goes down. You know, when there's money involved, and Elon's helping the military now, so he's got a different he's got different things, levers he can pull. Yep, passing. Yep. Sanity says, I've been retired for several years and still get contacted by companies I once did work for asking me to come back to work. I've been told to name my price, no interest in it. Interesting, cool, well. Ken says, I'm 84, good stuff. You know, I did some canvassing. I worked some canvassing for different political campaigns in the last 3-4 months. And I met some 80-year-olds, even some 90, and even I think a few 100-year-olds, not only in Portland, Oregon, not only in Atlanta, but also here in Texas as well. And some people look really young. It's hard to tell that they're in their 80s or 90s. So, you're probably one of those people who are looking pretty good in their 80s. Good stuff. I'm surprised, really impressed. You know, if you take care of yourself and you eat the right types of food and everything else, there's no reason why you have to age. I mean, if you look at the Bible, I'm not a Bible reader or anything like that. I have read the Bible just because I was in a certain type of school when I was a kid that I had to study some of that stuff. But apparently the people in the Bible lived hundreds of years. So this is harming the body with the certain types of food that are meant to destroy and kill the population. It's not necessary, and if you eat unpasteurized foods and other stuff like that, and stay away from certain things like fluoride and, you know, a lot of people take their kids to go into the swimming pool and swim in the chlorinated water. You know, any chemistry or wellness class will tell you that the chlorine is not good for your body. So, I mean, it's also used to kill people as well. So, if you're swimming in water, chlorinated water at a swimming pool, or you're going to a spa, you're getting in a hot tub, and there's chlorine in the water, it's really harmful for your health. And you actually have to take some other, I believe they're halogens or something. You gotta get some even like iodine to kick out those lower lighter halogens. So it's harmful to your body to go in a pool. So if you're doing stuff like that, I mean, maybe it's easier for women to do that, but for men, it's apparently more harmful for men. And so I would, you know, there are certain things you can become aware of and then stop doing to live longer, you know. Tony says, I'm 52. Yep, that's true. Passing. Passing one says, eventually the robots will build robots. Yeah, and Lynn says, someone will always have to build the robots, right? Yep. Yeah, and marshmallows, maybe there can be a healthier marshmallow, but marshmallows are typically have a lot of different bad stuff in them that are meant to like destroy your health and your body. So, you know, the doctors have to, okay, at one time I owned a food manufacturing facility. And I knew like a health food, organic, raw snack type thing out of chocolate and other stuff. But, you know, going through the process of creating a food manufacturing company in 2007 through 2009, I was able to sell to over 400 stores and everything else, like Whole Foods and stuff. But what I learned through that is how little knowledge you have to make a product and sell it to people. And the types of things that other people who make products, what they put in their products. So if you're just eating any product off the shelf, what I can tell you is the people who make those products don't know anything about health or wellness. They're just making stuff. And then once you start making stuff in quantity, then a lot of times the quality of the product will degrade. And there's in between the grower of the food and the seller of the food, there's a lot of different steps normally, whether it's importing it into the country. So a lot of times when they import different fruits and things, it'll get irradiated. And also when they're exporting different products through the immigration or whatever, the export from the country, they will roast the product, or they will somehow they'll pasteurize the product second or third time. So you know, even if something says raw, and it goes from the farmer through the export facility, they will a lot of times they'll pasteurize it or do something to it. So even though if you bought it and it said raw at the supplier said, it'll get denatured when it goes through the immigration. So if you like eating radioactive food or whatever, or you know, almonds, if you go to the grocery store in the 2008 time frame, they made it a law here in the United States that I believe almonds grown in the United States, they had to be like steam pasteurized or something like that. So even the nuts that you buy at the food grocery stores, typically, unless they're imported from a country where they have different rules, even though it says raw on the package, it's not raw. So a lot of the people who make food don't know anything about health. And so the doctors, they also don't know anything about health. So it's like a double whammy. Not only do you have these ignorant people making food that's harmful for you, you know, unless the maker of the food is some type of wellness professional, or, you know, you look at the people who are making the food and ask, do you want to look like that? And marshmallows and Girl Scout cookies and stuff like that, you know, that's just flour and different fructose corn syrup and stuff like that, which is going to spike your blood sugar, and it's going to cause like if you want to paste is like a glue, you know, the white flour and other stuff like that they put in those cookies with sugar and stuff, that's harmful, that's terrible for your health. So from a perspective of wanting to live a long time and also feel comfortable, so if you want to have a lot of health issues, then go ahead, eat marshmallows and Girl Scout cookies. But the people who make those products don't know anything about wellness, and they really don't care about your longevity. So, but the doctors, they love that stuff. If you go to a dentist, they'll give you some, a lot of times there'll be some candy in the dentist office or whatever, because they don't care about, you know, they want to have a repeat customer. If you start getting healthy and stop showing up for your dentist appointment, they're gonna be out of business. So, yeah. Anyway, so. Yep. Okay, I'll get another shot. I think I'll move a little bit to the right here and get a shot of the, or maybe to the left. Yeah, I think I will, I'll get to the right. I haven't gotten that shot in a little while, and I will move to the left, maybe to the, I'll get a shot of the base of the, over by the, first I'll get the shot of the base of the tower here, and then I'll go over by the Lab Padre cam and get the closer up shot of the base of the tower with the chopsticks and everything. I haven't gotten this shot in a little while because it's been foggy, and that white light, which we're going to see there too. But I checked it out before I went live tonight, and it looked pretty good. So I'll get the shot right here in a minute. Let me set it up. We got some good shots going on here too. Looks like they have some type of arc. They're doing some plasma arc cutting or something like that. See that in the just below the platform there? Ken says, eat all the bad stuff. Good stuff, Ken. Lynn says, Lynn Butler says, I must say being out there was amazing. It's one thing to see it on video. I'm glad I finally made it out there. Hope to get back before going home. Good stuff, Lynn. Looks like maybe welding. Is that welding, or are they cutting with a plasma torch or something? Thanks, Sir Chris. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. Nice to see you as well and chat with the people here. Yeah, thanks, man. It's good to be able to just sit here and not have to worry about stuff. I'm standing actually, but it's, sitting here is a general phrase. They got another one up higher up. Let me use my hand. Over here, they're doing it over there too. Two different areas they got there. They're using some type of welding or plasma torch, welding. Sanity says it looks like welding. Tom Tech says looks like cutting. Okay, Passing Wind says you should check out the little comedy clip by Louis C.K. called God, not for religious reasons, but because of environmental. I think you'll find it hysterical and it's very short. So Louis C.K. says Passing Wind, called God. Good, I look forward to checking that out. I listen to a lot to these recordings. I watch or listen to these later on after the show is over. After the live stream's over, and I'll check it out after. Thanks. So it looks like there's a few different aerial lifts up there. Sanity says I didn't see any spray coming off of it. Makes me think it was cutting. Yeah, it could be cutting. Interesting. There's a bunch of activity on the site too, different vehicles and things like that. There are a lot of trucks and stuff here, but I don't see a lot of people. So the people on site must be doing something in the different areas here on site. Not so visible, but there are at least maybe 80 trucks here parked to my left and right. So people are here. They're just you can't really see them. Sandy says they're welding panels on around the overlaunch mount legs in that area. Yeah, Passing Wind says the overlaunch mount looks like a flying saucer. Yeah, it does. And when they lifted that onto the legs a while back, I got some photos. I got some great video of it with the Nikon camera, and it's here on the channel. I think in the most popular videos section, or I've got a playlist, or one of the, I think I got 5 videos of them lifting the entire overlaunch mount section onto those legs, and it does look like a flying saucer. Let me zoom in again. Sorry, there's a bunch of stuff happening, so I just zoomed out. Nothing of great importance, but different vehicles going by. I think the next shot I will get will be over by the tank farm area. We'll get that shot looking directly to the side from, we'll get it down by the tank farm there. And we'll get to see a really much closer shot at the orbital launch platform and also the tank farm. So I'll get it and I'll start moving in a couple of minutes. We'll move down that way. Drones Toronto says it's pretty hard to find good food these days in general, Paul. Fukushima has tainted the Pacific. The Gulf of Mexico is toast from all the oil rigs and the toxins used to dissolve the big leak. Yeah, and there's different thoughts about why the Fukushima thing happened and also why the Gulf, whether that was actually an oil spill or maybe some other thing happening, and they use that as a cover for what was going on. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on. And you might have to grow it inside underneath a tent or something, you know, if you really want to do it. There's a guy named Dr. Gabriel Cousins, and he has a center, a rejuvenation center in Patagonia, Arizona, and he was looking to do a greenhouse to grow tomatoes and everything inside to keep it away from some of the pollution from the outside in the middle of the desert in Patagonia, Arizona. I lived there for about 8 months and I learned to become a raw vegan chef in 2013 to 2014. But yeah, I've known about that for a long time, but there are different things you can do, but you know, it's not easy. One of the things I do today, now I learned to be a raw vegan chef, and I gourmet raw food preparation, you know, sprouting sunflower seeds and other stuff. But one of the easy method that I'm using today to stay healthy, the easy and cheaper way I'm using to stay healthy, it still exposes me to some of the hormones in the foods, but is to do the primal raw, which involves the raw eggs. If I had access to the, there's a farmer on the East Coast of the United States who has a company called Miller's Organic Farm, and they ship raw for members. You have to be a member to get the stuff, but they ship raw meats, raw eggs, raw cheeses, raw milk, unpasteurized and unsalted. So if you can get, if you have a farmer nearby and you can make a deal or become a member of his club here in the United States, you can have access to healthier foods. So I do the primal raw, and I do eggs, raw egg smoothies. I buy the eggs at Walmart, and I try and get cage-free or organic. But so that's the cheaper version of at least getting some decent quality food. But it's still the raw vegan would be much better. I do raw honey as well, raw organic honey. So that's part of the Augenis Vonderplanitz. Wrote a couple books way back in a while back, and he was a proponent of the raw vegan diet. And one of the books he wrote called "We Want to Live" was kind of transformative for me because it showed a whole different way of understanding health as far as the different viruses and bacteria used by the body to maintain health. So currently, Western medicine in general sees bacteria and viruses as harmful for the body, but Augenis was saying that he was like saying that they were used by the body to dissolve and to dissolve different things in the body and to maintain health. So Augenis's view on the use of viruses and bacteria in the body was that they were good. And so I would recommend, for me, I enjoy what I read by Augenis Vonderplanitz, and you might like it too, called "We Want to Live." And it definitely was a whole different way of seeing and understanding a potential way of staying healthy. at the end of that book, he has like a paragraph for almost every disease out there known to man and woman and child, and his solution for those different ailments of the general human on Earth. In a simple 1-2 punch, 1-2 punch for anyone who really cares about their health, and his solution for a speedy recovery. Many people they like to complain, but they don't like to do anything. But Agenus was like, nah, let's try this, and he seems to have been successful in at least during the times when he was attempting to help people. And I have used some of his remedies, and they have worked for me. So I'm a firm believer in the Agenus von der Planet's solution for health. At least it's a winner for me as far as my body. So everybody's body is different, and you got to check with your doctor. If you like going to someone to tell you how to stay healthy, then you go ahead and do that. But for me, I like to take my own health into my own hands, as my dad was a doctor and he didn't know anything about staying healthy or healthy foods. So my mom was also a nurse and she didn't know anything about staying healthy either. So I have been cured of going to doctors, and I am now my own doctor. But if you like to go to a doctor, you go right ahead. Ken says, I eat raw butter, fat, raw bacon, and still healthy. Good stuff. Yeah, I like to eat raw unsalted butter as well, unpasteurized. That's the best thing in the world. Low, you don't, without any of the growth hormones, etc. That's the best thing out there. Good on you, Ken. Drone says, yes, I concur. Grow your own. I like the garden. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm still working on that garden, Drones. I recently planted the banana tree is doing well. I recently, every time when I make a decent chunk of change from doing some work somewhere, I've been buying one more plant or tree and adding it to the Ocean Cam garden over there. So I bought a like a $40 orange tree recently from a nursery here in Brownsville. Drone says, I concur, grow your own. Anytime it gets scaled up or processed, the food value and safety goes down. Yeah, I agree. So that's yeah, again, the land out here is a zone 10, zone 11 for growing. So this is almost pristine growing conditions. What I can also tell you is the soil here is, there's almost no soil here around Boca Chica. It's all sand. Mostly it's sand. So if you want to grow anything, there was a gentleman, German scientist, awesome gentleman named, what was his name? Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner. I don't know how he pronounced it or whatever, but he was an awesome person. Anyway, he wrote some stuff about, why am I mentioning this? Oh, yeah, biodynamics. And so I don't know if he started that movement or what, but he wrote about the sand in the soil is good for the cosmic forces, the forces from the stars. So if you want to plant like carrots and things that just have a single root, like a beet or something else like that, which would be just a single, there are different plants that have like roots that spread out in every which direction, but if you want to plant something that has like a single root that goes deep into the earth, then that would be good for using sand. So there's a lot of sand around here. If you want to plant carrots or beets or something like that, you'd be very successful. But if you want to grow other things that have roots that go in every which direction, then it's good that you need some soil for that plant to be really healthy. So although the temperature here is really good, the soil isn't good. So I bought some soil. I'm gonna have to buy a lot more or get some containers to put it in. And also the wind here is very strong at times. So right now there's practically no wind. So this is a beautiful time, but most of the time the wind is like 15, 20 miles an hour out here. And so that's a bad thing if you're trying to grow some different things. And we also get very strong rain. So the rain will come down in like very thick and heavy. So that's also tough for growing things. So I guess if you believe in the influence of humans on the weather, at least the local weather conditions, then these extremes in the weather are tough. And maybe as the people around here become more knowledgeable and more balanced, balanced mentally, spiritually, and health-wise, there will be less extremes, and that will affect the weather, and there'll be more peaceful weather conditions. I believe that's a fact, but you can have your own beliefs in that matter. So I believe the people around here, around the Boca Chica, SpaceX, Brownsville area, they're very extreme in their life here on the Earth, and that's why we get these extreme weather conditions. Sounds like a healthy meal, Tony. That sounds awesome. Brussels sprouts pate, Brussels pate on toast for a late night snack. That sounds good. Now I buy some if I have access to a toaster, I will toast the bread. But if I do buy bread, it's the sprouted Ezekiel bread, or sometimes it'll be a sourdough bread. But the Ezekiel is at least they sprout the grain, and you get a variety of different things like millet and rye and different, not just, you don't get any white flour in Ezekiel bread. So if you want to have bread, I would recommend, see if you can get a sprouted bread, and if you toast it, that might be nice too. That's what if I do get bread, I finished up one today. It's a little bit healthier than just a straight out white bread or something like that. Yeah, I was thinking about getting some hummus today, but I didn't. But I did eat some cantaloupe. Okay, Passing says, take your coffee grounds and save them up, dump them onto the treats. Bananas will grow like crazy because they are potassium hogs. Okay, bananas like potassium, huh? That's good. Good stuff. Thanks, Passing. Yeah, I don't drink coffee, but maybe somebody else does, and I can collect their grounds, coffee grounds. So the trick, Passing says, is to take coffee grounds and dump them onto the areas around the bananas. Okay, thanks. I will. See if I can get some access to some, maybe I go to a coffee shop and see if I can get, pick up every now and then some of their stuff. All right, I'm gonna move like I said I was probably gonna move, and I'll go down to the tank farm, orbital tank farm, get that shot. Here we go. It'll be a little while. Haven't seen any methane tankers coming in, so they are not. I don't know what they're doing over there. They must have some type of crates or something that they brought in. This is where they offload the methane, so they're doing something here. I'll keep my eyes open in the future for what they might be doing, but this is where they offload the those methane tankers. Here we go. I'll be back another day to this spot here. And I go, this will be about maybe a minute to get down to that spot and do that shot. Oh, they're here. but the weather around here is awesome. And you know, even though that we got heavy wind and we got heavy rain, it's nice once in my life to be around. I've grown food in Costa Rica, Indiana, Virginia, different areas around the world, Arizona. I've been involved either on my own little plots or on other people's areas growing food. And it's nice to be in an area in the United States where I can grow food in a zone 10, zone 11, kind of a real special thing. And this area here in Boca Chica is at zone 10, 11, so it's really cool. Let me put it here. I was gonna be able to get a little bit higher up, a few paces behind me, but this is a nicer spot to be here. Let me go back in the chat. You know, some days this, I don't know if it's liquid nitrogen or whatever, it'll come across the road here and it'd be a nice, really cool type of experience to walk through that stuff. I hope it does. It's nice when that happens. Sometimes the police will come over here and say not to do it, but I've been lucky so far. Passing Wind says, I'm gonna have an apple fritter. That sounds good. Cut up an apple and put something on it. Jerome says, fresh homemade hemp seed bread every Saturday morning at the local bakery. That sounds good. Yeah, in the apple, in the smoothie thing that I make with I have a Garden of Life. It's like a raw protein powder. Garden of Life, I mix that in with some raw honey and 2 eggs, raw eggs. And I just shake it up in one of those shaker things. And then I drink it. Real tasty. I put some water in it too. Yeah. All right, let's check out the tower here. Yeah, apple fritters sound good. I'm starting to get hungry right now. Starting to salivate with those apple fritters. That sounds really good. Yeah, hemp seed sounds a little heavy for me right now, but yeah, the hemp seed sounds good too. Maybe more toward around lunchtime, that'd be good. I had a bunch of Brazil nuts 2 days ago. I had like a large quantity of Brazil nuts. So I've gotten the density, the protein I went overboard on the protein 2 days ago. So I'm more, instead of the hemp seed thing, I'm feeling more the fritter, the apple fritter right now. Yeah, Drone Toronto says the weather in Canada is short in Toronto, and we have it better than most of Canada, which further north on the map. You know, drones, even with that, there's a guy in Canada, used to be a man, at least in the 2007 timeframe then, Frederic Petinaud, N-A-U-D-E, I believe. And I went to actually, I think in the, maybe the 2004 timeframe, I went to Costa Rica on a retreat. He did like a raw food retreat in for a week or something like that. And but he is he's up there in Canada, or he used to be, and he was able to do a whole healthy food thing with raw food. You might, I don't know if you know about him or if he's still doing that, but he was pretty active a while back. You know, I know it's difficult to grow actual plants in cold weather, usually, but you can grow sprouts like sunflower seed sprouts. I've never actually, I've done it at a retreat center. I've grown the sprout. I've had that job at a retreat center growing the sprouts, but it's kind of an elaborate thing. You got to kind of soak them 3 times. You got to wash them off 3 times a day. But if you're committed enough to have an area where you can have some seeds sitting in darkness for a couple days, you know, and then after that, water them for 3 or 4 days, rinse them off like 3 times a day or something like that, 3-4 times a day, then it's a healthy thing you can eat even in Canada that doesn't really require much of a warm atmosphere or anything like that. You just got to keep you got to be able to keep the mice out of it, you know. When you're doing sprouts, that's the big thing. If you got critters that can get into the sprout area, then that's the one difficulty. Well, that's a nice shot right there. Wow. I'm with you. I'm with you, Passing. That sounds, that would be, yeah. Passing One says, cheesecake after the pate. Tony says, I've got some cheesecake in the fridge. That right there is like a stage, you know, in a movie scene or something like that. We have, it's almost like we're at the level of the audience and we're looking at the stage there, and that's, this is the fog machine on the left, and it's just going right past the upper platform there. You know, Passing Wind mentions to Tony, you have to leave a little bit out for the fairies. You know, I don't know if how many of you have had any type of mystical experience or anything like that, if you believe in the different nature spirits, but I can affirm, let me know if we ever lose the audio here, okay? Say it in the chat, but I'm seeing some red on my receiver here. I can easily unplug the mic. If I ever go silent, let me know. But it may be going low on the battery, the receiver here. But, you know, the nature spirits are real. And I've met 2 different variety of nature spirits. We're not talking about other beings like non-human entities and other things like that. I've met those as well, but as far as nature spirits, I have met an elf one time, out of body, and I have met a fairy as well. One of those energy creating winged creatures. I've met one of those as well. So you believe what you like, but yep, I do believe in those. I've never actually left anything out for them, but they are real, at least for me. It would be interesting if there were somebody who could sense those beings, if they would come here to the site and speak about if they perceive any of those beings around here, because we have a variety of different elements here, and it would be interesting if there were any, to hear some of the, maybe some of the, what's happening here, maybe on the other side in regards to nature spirits. Patsy Wynn says, Elon needs the Rolling Stones to play Start Me Up at the first launch. That sounds awesome. You know, or Coldplay, or some of the other awesome musicians. There was a song I was planning to share in the community section here. I was going to post it before going live, but I decided not to look around for it and just go live. But I will probably post something here in the online here on YouTube after this is said and done. Drone says everything is doable with effort, and vertical farming is taking off and working out for areas where they normally can't grow year-round, all with effort. Yeah, you know, I've heard that one of Elon's brothers is into farming, and I think the whole vertical farming and all that kind of stuff, he's kind of big into that. I haven't actually searched for any of his work or stuff like that, but that's what I've heard. I didn't see the Booster 7 moving, no. So Sir Chris asked if you saw the Booster 7 moving. I saw a picture of it this afternoon, but I didn't actually see it myself. I guess this is just some boiling off of the, some venting of some of the, I guess, liquid nitrogen. Lynn says he saw it. Booster 7 moving. Kimber Musk says Passing Wind is a farmer. Kimber Musk. Good stuff. Thanks. I got to look into his stuff. I haven't ventured into looking at the stuff that he's doing, but I've heard about it from a few people. Let me stabilize this tripod. Let me do something here. Just a minute. Okay, now I can get the shot. Thanks very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Let me get this shot here. Move it up a little bit. You know, the Terminator movies, that looks a little bit like one of the Terminators right there. Tony says a fairy is a highly charged being with wings. Yeah, they exist. The fairies. My experience is that the wings are more of a not necessarily something in the physical realm. They are. When I witnessed a couple fairies, it was in another out-of-body state, in another dimension, you could call it, or in a it was out of body when I saw the fairies, and they were creating balls of energy. And I don't know if they had wings or not, but they were above the ground, is what I could tell you. So at that point, they, you know, and I was at the time I was working in a kayak store in Hawaii, on the west side near the Hononau, near Kealakekua Bay on the Big Island of Hawaii, and there used to be a kayak store there on the west Hononau, and there was a lady who was working there named, what was her name? I don't remember her name at the moment, but anyway, I had this experience, and the next morning I was telling her about it, and she told me that people tell her all the time that she has like fairies all around her and everything. So different people have these beings that they interact with on a daily basis or normal, more consistent basis than other people. So if you associate with different people, you'll get exposed to the non-human entities or beings that they interact with. So me being I became psychic in 1996 is when it became apparent to me everybody's psychic, but not everybody is conscious or awake to their psychic nature in a conscious aspect where they know. But I became aware to it in 1996, and this event was around the 2004, maybe, I don't remember when it was, maybe 2006 time frame. I've been to Hawaii many times, so it's difficult to tell when that was, but maybe in the year 2000 actually. That could have been back when that happened. But she told me, we hadn't talked about fairies or anything like that, but after I had this experience out of body with them, that's when I told her about it, just out of the blue, and she said that people tell her all the time that they're like hanging off her hair and everything like that, and when she's driving the car, they're in the car, and they tell her, some people who can sense that stuff tell her they don't know how she can function or drive with all these different nature spirits around her. So that was kind of really cool. Just sharing it here. Yeah, I don't know what's getting deleted there, Passing Wind. I didn't watch, but I'll take a look, and maybe I can finesse the Nightbot later on. I'll take a look at what you wrote and what Nightbot got you for there. But thanks for the comments, though. Yeah, T3. Yeah, that looks like maybe a T3 Terminator or something like that. Yeah. This would be a great scene for one of the Terminator shots. Yeah, maybe we can get Arnold Schwarzenegger out here, and he can do a photo shoot for one of the Terminator movies. Maybe they can start renting out some of this space for shots on movies. And maybe SpaceX would let them blow up a thing or two here. Yeah, blow up one of the helium containers or something like that. Got to get one of those noble gases and try and blow up one of the noble gases. Good luck trying to do that. Ken says, my wife, out of the blue, gave me an apple fritter. That's good. Good stuff, Ken. Get a shot of the, here to the right, we'll get a shot of the hoppy. There's a reason. There's a reason. Yeah, we're coming up on Christmas, right? And this will be a kind of maybe a nice shot. We'll see how it turns out. That's looking a little Christmassy to me. Kind of a golden shimmering color there. Okay. This is all coming from that tank farm area over there to the left. Yeah, Johnny 5, right, from Short Circuit, says Tony. Or is it Johnny number 5 from Short Circuit? Yeah, that was a great movie. Love that movie. We got green lights on the tower. Tony says, War of the Worlds at Starbase. Right. I don't know if I saw the green lights before, but we see them now. Huh? This it's getting stronger over here, which is a good thing. I hope it gets even more stronger because I'm looking forward to hanging out in that mist if it gets strong enough to come to this side of the road. You know, there's something called what is it, cryo? We can dip in some of the like very cold water. You know, some people actually die when they do that, but for like a minute or two, you can go in this cryo chilled water or something like that. very cold water, and it's supposed to be good for your health. And if there were one of those around here, like one of those spas where you can dip into that super cold water, I would do that. It's kind of interesting, something interesting to do. It's getting late. I'll end it in the next 5 minutes, or sooner. It's getting late, but it's I feel good. The moon is right above. Tony says, Paul, can you remote view, or have you ever experienced it? Yeah, Tony, I did. I've taken 2 remote viewing courses over the years. I haven't spoken about it, but the first remote viewing course I took was by Courtney Brown a long time ago. And then the second remote viewing course I took was years later it was at the Monroe Institute, and that was with Joe McMoneagle, was one of the presenters at that program. So yeah, I've done 2 remote viewing courses. The first one cost like $5,000. That was a long time ago. I believe in maybe 1997 or something like that. And the other one was more toward the maybe 2003. I took that second one. But I've done 10 programs at the Monroe Institute on a variety of things. The one, if any of you all were interested in and had the money to spend on a kind of a full-blown kind of a spiritual journey type thing, if you were a skeptic, this would be a good course. Would be the Gateway Voyage or Gateway Program at the Monroe Institute in Faber, Virginia. They have a website, monroeinstitute.org, I believe it is, and they have a six-day program called the Gateway Voyage. If you have a week of your life that you can I don't know how to speak about it, but if you're willing to give skepticism a chance for 6 or 7 days, that's worth doing. It's not a spiritual thing; it's more of a scientific thing, and they use typically about 30 or 40 people go at a time, and they're from all over the world. People actually fly to Virginia from Japan, and from all different countries to go to this one spot, started by an audio guy named Robert Monroe, and that was my first exposure, was through the Monroe Institute. I heard about him on the radio in 1996 when I had my first experience. But if you were interested in learning more about that type of thing, that's one place I would recommend. So that would be with sound frequencies. And they don't put any philosophy on top of that, but there are some books written by Robert Monroe. The first one was Journeys Out of the Body. He wrote about it, and then the next one was Far Journeys. He wrote, and then the third book he wrote. He's dead now, but he in the 1990s he wrote his last book called Ultimate Journey. And if you read those in sequence, starting with Journeys Out of the Body, you would get a feel for what they're doing over there in Virginia. And if you wanted to go there, I would recommend. They have several programs. One of them is a remote viewing program, but I wouldn't recommend the remote viewing program because that's more of a it's not experiential in the way that you would get if you were doing the Gateway program. So the Gateway kind of takes you from square one, and the the remote viewing courses, actually it's a more advanced type of thing, and if you don't have any initial spiritual experience going into it, I think it's better if you start with something else rather than remote viewing. Let's see, what else can I say? There is another organization called the Dhamma.org. If you're into sitting meditation or clearing your mind, that type of thing, you know, the Buddhist stuff where they sit and they clear the mind, and they eventually they do vipassana, they move the energy around the body, etc. That where they move the mind around the body, you can call it what you want, but that is more in sync with what you eventually do with the remote viewing. The vipassana people will tell you that you know, any experience or any using of the mind during the vipassana is not the goal, and it's more of a distraction. But there's many things that you can do with and through the state of meditation, and one of them is to not focus on anything and just do the more. There's a couple different focuses for meditation. One of them is here in the world, and the other is more expansive. So depending on the philosophy and the goal or what the purpose for the meditation or whatever is, that will dictate the protocol that and the guidance that's used during the meditation. So for instance, the spectrum of existence and experience throughout the universe spans. It goes from the here and now, the physical world with personality, and all the different differences in the different personalities and different relationships. So the world of relationships and things, that's the personality. And if you were going to do remote viewing, that would be the realm of remote viewing. But if you were going to do vipassana, what they tend to like to do is to not focus on the world here and now. They like to free up the energy in the body and allow the personality to expand into the unmanifest, ideally, to more through a bliss state to encompass the whole universe. So that's kind of in the opposite direction of focus than the remote viewing would be. So the goal of vipassana would be more toward the oneness, the unmanifest without personality, and more just the total being of the universe. So that's an experience in itself, and it can take a lot of time to get there through other methods, but vipassana is an excellent way of getting there if you want to get there. So, but it's different approaches and different focuses, the two different things. You know, one thing will take you toward the ultimate, and the other thing will take you toward the what is it called? The skill, or the Jedi, or the power, the Force. One thing is more involved with forces, and the other thing is more involved with power. Power being the total being of the universe is ultimate power without personality. So if there's no personality and there is still life and perception, then that's power. If there's forces and different personalities and identities, then that's more force. So. I expanded out to the universe in 2001, 2002, and I had that experience of being the whole universe and then being nothing. So I had that experience, ultimate, you can call it ultimate power, but I did not exist in 2001, 2002. I had that experience, but that's what that's kind of the general theme of the different spiritual and meditation practices, is one of those two extremes of perception and being. Yeah, Tony mentions Ingo Swann was used by NASA for his remote viewing. Ingo was an awesome guy. I read some of his books, and I've listened to several of his things. He was kind of an inspiration for me in the early days, and still is. He wrote a book on power, actually, and how the pyramids of power and stuff like that. And you can look him up on Amazon.com. Some people, since his death, have taken his different writings and books and created more elaborate topic-focused books about some of his talks and things like that. I believe he wrote a couple books while he was still alive too, but they've published more since he passed away. Ingo Swann was awesome. Tony says, I've heard of the Institute for Science. I don't know anything about that. I'll look into that, Tony. So Tony mentioned something else called the Institute of Science. Yeah, I can remote view. I've experienced that as well. Thanks. Yeah, but look up a gentleman named Joe McMoneagle. Joe McMoneagle, Eagle, like McMoneagle. He was one of the people as well. And maybe look up Skip Atwater. Look up, what else can you look up? Look up Stargate. Yeah, but look up Skip Atwater, look up Joe McMoneagle, and maybe Ingo Swann too. But he's in a different class than Skip and Joe. I guess he's more like Joe. Ingo is more like Joe. But in my worldview, these Joe McMoneagle's still alive. He was my neighbor over there in Faber, Virginia. He was also in several different secret stuff as well as other stuff. But he led some of the, and maybe still does, some of the remote viewing over there at the Monroe Institute. And but Ingo, I never met Ingo, but these gentlemen, whether they're alive in their physical world or they're dead, they're still here amongst us and throughout the universe. These personalities are still with us. If you want to meet them, you can. Whether they're alive here on the earth or they're passed away, you can still meet them. At least in my worldview. If you tell yourself you can't, then you can't. Because as you believe, so your existence is. I learned this one time. One time I became aware out of body, and I was reading a book. There was a book in front of me floating in the air. I was reading the book. It was not English though, so it was another language. And at the time, in this other state of reading the book, one part of me knew how to read the book. So I became alert as myself, Paul, out of body, reading this book, and the thought came to mind that I don't know how to read this language. So there was another part of my brain, or my personality, as I would refer to that language now. If the book were in front of me, I wouldn't know what it was either. But in the experience, while I was reading the book, another part of me woke up and said, hey, we don't know how to read this book. So at that point, I got a shock. I got a big shock. And then I was back in my body. So I was subtle enough in the beginning of the experience to allow part of myself to be awake without overshadowing the other side of myself. So in expanded states of awareness, we have access to, we are not always the same. We like to think of ourselves as a certain type of person with certain experiences up to this point in our life, but if we are much larger beings and have existed and will exist in many other lifetimes throughout all of time, if we have existed forever, and even beyond that, if we are all the same person, then all the different experiences throughout the universe, throughout all of time, have been our experiences. And when we're in different states of awareness or awakeness, different states of awakeness, and different aspects of our memory are active, then we function and we do things in these different states with parts of our personality and other parts of our personality are not awake. Other parts of our mind are not always active. So in one part of my personality and one part of your personality, we can read these other languages, and because we have these other memories that we have access to, that in our current state we don't have access to these other memories, because another part of our personality is more active at this current time. So, so in this one instance, I was able to read this. I was reading this book and it had meaning to me, but then when another part of myself woke up to it and said, "Hey, no, we don't know this language," that's when I got the shock. So yeah, and if for instance, if you were out of body and you were trying to go through a wall, and you said, "Yeah, let's go through this wall," you could go through the wall. You could pass through this. For instance, if okay, here, say here, if you were out of body, you could walk up to this tank here, this tank farm. You could go up to this to the wall, to the outer wall. This say this liquid, this water tank here on the right, and you could pass right through that wall, right? But if you told yourself when you got to the wall that, hey, this is too dense, it's steel, there's no way we could pass through it, you would not be able to walk into this steel tank here. But if you told yourself that you could, you would be able to pass through it. So what you believe will dictate your reality, at least in the out-of-body realm. And the way, apparently, the personality as you relate to other people also dictates your, what happens to you in this lifetime as well. So. All right, we're getting closer to this stuff here. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's not cool though. It's kind of warm. Interesting. Sometimes that'll be really cool and misty. It's right now. It's not cool. It's a little bit too warm. All right, I apologize if I went overboard on the philosophy here tonight. John says, I wish I was out there, but what's stopping me is to have to replace the front wheel hub rotors on my Jeep. If that happens to your truck, don't just replace one, replace both. I got you. Otherwise, you'll be paying a mechanic twice for the same job. Safety first. Okay, so John Juan Rodriguez is replacing the front wheel hub rotors on the Jeep. Good stuff. All right, let's see. These guys are walking through it. That's one of the coolest. That's one of the coolest things. If you can get some liquid nitrogen and walk through the fog, that's one of the coolest experiences. Thanks, Piper's all. Sorry. Yeah, I'll mention a gentleman. There's a guy named, or there was a gentleman named, an author named Carlos Castaneda, and his books have been impactful on me, not only because of the some of you might know who Carlos was or what he wrote about, but the way he wrote about attention, knowledge, and the worldview was pretty awesome. And yeah, the Yaqui way of knowledge, says Piper's all. That's something that even if you have different experiences His perspective on the reality and the world and everything else is something that you never fully grasp. You never get all of it. So there's always more in the Yaqui way of knowledge. And even here at SpaceX, Dan Millman wrote about this stuff as well, but definitely the Don Juan view of the universe or of existence. He didn't really write about the universe, but he wrote about the way of knowledge, the sorcerer's view, right? The sorcerer. All right, check the chat. Yeah, Tony, good stuff. All right, guys, gals. Yeah, good night, Sir Chris. I'll say good night here too. Good time to break here. They're starting to do some more of that welding or whatever over there on the orbital launch platform. That'll be a good place to end it tonight. So in 5, 4, if you want to keep watching this, tune into the Lab Padre cam to the right here. 3, 2, and I'll see you on the next one. Good stuff. Good night.